Peter Charles here of Hooked Fly Fly Fishing, and today we're going to tie a very classic Atlantic salmon pattern called Berthdee Munro. It has a couple of techniques in it which are interesting for somebody who's starting out in Atlantic fly tying because it doesn't use a rib in the body and it uses two flosses that we have to get right along with the tag. So it's kind of an interesting little experiment to work with a slightly more complicated body than what we might have done in the past. So let's get started and look at the materials. Our hook is a size 4 salmon single. Our thread is a black 8/0. Our tag is a gold in oval tinsel. We're using yellow floss. Now this is a Danville floss. It has 4 strands. I'm only going to be using 1 strand. A lot of tyers like this type of floss, so I thought I'd use it on this fly so you can see the difference between this and a floss with only 1 strand. The tail is orange saddle hackle. The body is black floss. The throat is black cock. And the wing is gray squirrel that's been dyed yellow. So let's get started. Now, because this is a floss body, we want to make sure the thread we put underneath is very smooth. So you notice there's no gaps in that. And we're going to try to keep it that way throughout the tying of this fly. Next, we're going to be putting in our gold tag. Keep it underneath. Then come forward. Now just bring your thread out of the way. Keep everything underneath, and I've just changed hands, so I'm using my left hand to wrap those 2 tags down, and I've kept them underneath, and I'm going to leave them alone for the moment. You'll see why in a minute. Now you see I've kept those underneath, and I have to make room for the yellow floss. So I'm going to keep with this left-handed grip, and I'm just going to work this forward. I'm going to make sure those tags stay underneath. Now we can tie in our floss. And you see what I've done here is I've created a smooth area to tie in the floss, and the gold tinsel has been kept underneath where it'll be nice and smooth. So I'll do the same thing with the floss. I'll put it underneath. And I'll just need a couple of wraps in there to keep that in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind back and then forward. Now watch the hook point. Whatever you do, don't hit the hook point. Now we come forward. Again, change hands. Keep tension on it. Make sure these are all underneath. Now, at this point we've got a couple of choices, and you'll see this done different ways. I could take these tag ends and lie them along the side of the body to fill in that space where the return ends, or I could just wrap them underneath the entire way, or I can cut them off, then fill that space with thread. I'm going to use this technique, okay? I'm just going to put one really tight wrap in here with my right hand, pulling the tags out of the way. I don't want this springing out when I cut them off. Now, don't cut your thread. Okay, I'm going to stop there and we're going to get our piece of floss going. Now that we've tied in the floss, time to put in the tail. Make sure it stays on top properly, yes. And then we bind that down. Trim it off. Now we cover this little tag. Now we're going to put in our black floss, and I'll tell you, I've been having some fun with my floss lately. It may not be the best. We'll see if we can salvage this. It's not been laying on flat for me. The black hasn't. Other colors, not a problem, but the black has been an issue. Take the time to straighten up the tail. There's some twists in the black. See, I'm taking my time with this because there's no rib, so every little flaw is going to show. There's no rib to distract from the flaws, and this cantankerous floss is not helping my case, but we do the best. I keep pulling it out to do my level best to keep it from being too lumpy. I'm pulling the twists out of it and pulling those loose bits out. That's how they bulk up here. Pull this out, flatten it. I'll just bring it up onto the return. Now we'll tie it off. We'll keep that little tag underneath. Okay, now for the black throat. The throat should be about to the hook point. If you're happy with that position, that looks good. A couple of firm wraps, and we'll clip it off. Now we'll bring our thread back. In preparation for putting in the wing. Now this is the yellow dyed gray squirrel tail. I've stacked it. And then we're going to use that technique I demonstrated in the previous video on how to tie in slippery hairs by coming in halfway and then wrapping over. There we go. I will just whip finish that. Now it's time for some head cement. Okay, there's our Berthdee Munro, all ready to go fishing. It's a relatively straightforward pattern, but it puts a premium on doing a neat floss body. And despite the fact my black was working against me, we still got something decent off of it. So give it a try. It's a good challenge for getting neat floss bodies. And I think it's a really nice looking pattern. Should catch some fish for you as well. Cheers.